The Ballad of Father Gilligan was written by W.B. Yeats, which has 12 stanzas of 4 lines each. In other words, the poem has 12 quatrains. The poem is said to have been published in 1890. William Butler Yeats was from Ireland and is considered one of the greatest poets of 20th century. He was born in 1865 and died in 1939. He lived in London for 14 years, but he maintained his cultural roots and staunchly affirmed his Irish nationality. The Ballad of Father Gilligan describes the selfless service of Father Gilligan in an epidemic hit Ireland, where people were dying in enormity, and as a priest, Father Gilligan was getting tired reaching out to each and everyone. Influenza had spread in Ireland in the early 20th century, which infected almost 800,000 people, and this context is important as far as this poem is concerned because Father Gilligan lives in a village and is responsible for a church in a village where most of the people were affected because of this epidemic. Title of the poem is The Ballad of Father Gilligan. We need to understand what ballad means. Ballad is a long narrative poem which tells a story. And in this context, it tells the story of a priest who is exhausted due to an epidemic outbreak. And it also hints at God's mercy, Almighty's presence in the lives of the faithful. The poem begins with the description of Father Gilligan. Father Gilligan was an old man. His full name was Peter Gilligan. He had been performing his duty tirelessly for days and night. The word weary suggests the amount of exertion and the way the priest is exhausted. In his parish or village, half the population was not well and the other half was dead. The phrase under green sods lay referred to the bodies in the grave. Given the tiring situation in which Father Gilligan was in, once when he came back home during the moth hour, he dozed off. Moths are insects which generally come during twilight, late in the evening. It is when the sun is about to set. And at that very moment, Father Gilligan nodded off. Just then, a poor man came running. He called for Father Gilligan to perform the rituals. Father was both physically and emotionally tired, seeing people dying. So, under exertion and as an emotional outburst, Father grieved and wailed. To add to his utter despair and grief in this moment of weakness, Father Gilligan complained. He said that he has no rest, no joy, nor peace as people continue to die and die. However, after this momentary complaint, Father felt guilty. He realized it was his mistake and that he should not have spoken like this. He started crying. He begged for God's mercy and forgiveness. He told God that it was my body, it was my physical tiredness, it was my exertion that made me speak like this. It was not me. Believe me, O Lord, it was not me. To offer his prayers, Father Gilligan fell down on his knees and, as a relief, bent on the chair. He kept on praying, kept on crying, and he did not realize when sleep embraced him. The next 2 lines, moth hour went from the fields and stars began to peep, refers to the duration of his sleep time. He slept in the evening and went on sleeping till night when the stars came shining. Time went by and the night grew darker. God covered the entire world with shade and darkness, and it seemed to say that I have made this night to put you to rest. The stars grew into millions, and Father went on sleeping. It was only in the morning, when the sparrows in their beautiful chirpy voice greeted the sun and moths came once more, that Peter Gilligan awoke. He was startled and shocked that he slept for hours together. He just stood up. Father was so upset with himself that he just spoke Maveron, Maveron, an expression which resembles, oh my God, oh my God. He immediately rode his horse to reach the sick man's house. Father rode the horse recklessly through rocky paths and marshy fields. By rocky lane and fen, he rode at a great speed. The sick man's wife opened the door for the father. But she's surprised that Father has come again. She inquired, Father, you come again? With a tone of wonder. It is the first time that Father has paid a visit. But the striking thing is that she has used the word again. Father, in his own confusion and despair, did not notice that the lady had said that, Father, you come again? He merely inquired about the poor man who was sick. The lady replied that the man died 1 hour back. Father could not speak, and in his own grief, he kept swaying and moving to and fro. The sick man's wife, seeing the father in distress, herself told the father that, Father, after you went, my husband turned back to see you, and he left for the heavenly abode like a bird who flies happily. In this stanza, leaving of the soul from the body is compared to a bird who flies merrily. Upon hearing this and realizing what had just happened, Father Gilligan fell on his knees. He started praying to God, and the tears flowed. Father realized that God had sent his angel to help him. Father alludes to God and says, God, you are the one who has made the night full of stars. You are the one who has made this night so that people and souls who are your creation can take some rest. He says, God, you are the one who heals the people who work tirelessly and bleed. So you are the one, God, who sent an angel to help me. In the last stanza of the poem, Father addresses God as one who is wrapped in purple robes. He calls God who keeps the planet Earth under his care. He refers to himself as an insignificant, least of things, an ordinary person who was merely sleeping on a chair. But he realizes that God is merciful. God takes care of all his souls. He is the Param Atma who takes care of all his Atmas. The tone of the poem changes from sadness to that of hope. This poem celebrates God's mercy, forgiveness, and his omnipresence.